From the way you described him, this Iraqi agent seemed begrudgingly to be interviewing you on the Twitch drama stuff. He wasn't really invested. I'm sure those white men CBP agents might have even known who you were. If you got them, it would have been 1,000%. Yeah, I mean, I can only speculate, okay? I don't know why people can't comprehend this, especially because I mentioned it. I stressed the importance of this over and over again. And I think people are still looking for any opportunity to be like, I would have done things differently, or you're being a bad example or whatever. What is this?
So unless you live under a rock, you are probably aware of the reality that right now in the United States, things are getting more repressive. The state is becoming bolder. People are being taken off the street. Not just undocumented people anymore, which was already bad enough, but people with green cards, et cetera, and so forth. And what's been happening more recently is even people who were born in the United States with a passport are coming into the U.S. from vacation or travel, and they are being stopped, sometimes randomly, sometimes not randomly, and being questioned about their political affiliations, political leanings, things of that nature. So yesterday, I got a text message from my friend, Hasan Piker, who, if you know who he is a very prominent left-wing voice. He's one of the largest streamers on Twitch and certainly the largest left-wing streamer. And he was stopped coming in from France. He was coming into Chicago, and they stopped him for a period of time and questioned him, and ultimately he was fine. But he texted me as he was basically being pulled aside to let me know that was happening, because I am his lawyer friend. And we did have a conversation after this about maybe in the future some things that will be done differently. But this should worry all of us a lot, because Hasan Piker is a very prominent left-wing voice. He is well known. He has a large following on the internet, and he is a rich person. So he's a person with reach and influence, and even though he was only briefly stopped for a period of time when he was coming back in the United States, the fact was they flagged him. They were specifically...
No, Lolo didn't scold me. He did not. I explained to him exactly why I did what I did as well in that conversation. Like, I literally told him, just as I told you, what the purpose of it was.
Looking for him and asking him specific questions about his activities as a political actor in the United States. They're asking him about political opinions.
You have no idea how what you said could be used against you later. It's not about your example, but they're making you into an example. They're clearly looking for a reason to somehow charge you with material support for terrorism. I know, but you do realize that the things that I said in that room are, one, still protected speech, and two, there's nothing I can do if the fucking federal government wants to make an example out of me, you dumb fuck. What is wrong with you? I know. That's kind of the main point of contention here, don't you think? What the fuck are you saying? Yes, I know that already. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't talked to literal fucking journalists and also organizations so far since this conversation took place? I like that chatters in here are like, dude, you shouldn't have done that. It's like, even if I did and they use what I said in that interview against me, that's still a precedent-setting court case. You understand? I'm taking that risk knowing full well what the risks associated with it are. And I'm also telling you not to do that. But I also will not be intimidated. Like that was my point. I like that because of the parasocial nature of Twitch streaming, you could have a fucking fascist government unironically apprehend and detain political dissidents, and chatters in the chat will still be like, well, you should have conducted yourself better. Like, shut up. I know what I'm doing. What are you saying right now? I knew that I was taking a calculated risk to talk in that situation. I know that. God damn. This was partially the reason why I made this calculated decision, because I wanted to see what their inquiries were going to look like. I had heard from TikTok stories of American citizens getting apprehended at the border, getting detained at the border. Okay. And I had a different red line than some other people do. My red line was unlawful search and seizure. But up until that point, I was going to entertain the inquiry so that I could engage in some sort of fact-finding mission. And I actually got TikTok as your source of news. No, you fucking moron. I'm the source of news in this situation. That's what I'm saying. I had heard firsthand accounts from people, not just on TikTok, but immigration attorneys being apprehended at the border, for example, on NBC and numerous other news outlets that had verified reports. So when I was in the similar situation, I was the one who was like, okay, I'm going to see what this is about. Anyway, let's continue.
He said in the past, his Twitch ban, some things that were frankly ridiculous, and other things that maybe weren't ridiculous but are scary for an administration to be looking for in terms of what your political beliefs are. Your political beliefs shouldn't matter in terms of you being a United States citizen and you making transit in and out of the United States. Coming from France, mind you, like not coming from somewhere where there's things are unstable on the ground or there are actors that the United States considers to be dangerous, just like coming from a trip to France.
How can you trust things that happen to you? Are an anecdotal experience unreliable? Yes.
So, yeah, I've said this before. You need to be aware. Like, this is the reality right now. The Trump administration is floating the idea and talking, like Stephen Miller is talking about, they want to suspend habeas corpus. Habeas is the ability to challenge a wrongful arrest, so basically the police can't arbitrarily arrest you and not tell you why you're being held or hold you indefinitely. It's a critical function of due process, which is what every American is guaranteed, but also everybody who is on American soil by the Constitution.
Now, the issue here is that the only place where you technically don't have this, or it's technically an illegal gray area, and I think like immigrant rights attorneys will also tell you this, or at least as far as everything that I read, they also will literally tell you that it's like kind of a gray area, is the fucking border. That's the one area where there is definitely a deliberate effort from the Supreme Court and the American reactionary movements that have eroded constitutional protections piece by piece. You're more useful to the movement free and doing this work than in a cell somewhere, bro. We don't have to give them a sacrificial lamb to know it's fascism. I also disagree with you on this. Then why don't I just leave the United States of America and escape and like keep streaming from a different country? This is something that a lot of people are suggesting in a very parasocial way as well. And it's like, no, there are going to be moments where I am presented with a threatening situation, and I think that it is appropriate for me to at least have some fucking skin in the game. It's all right, especially because I do have a lot of privilege. That's it. And yes, I will continue to travel internationally, and I will continue to talk about these things, and I'll continue to report on things that happen to me as well. As I've said over and over again, I am not a journalist. I'm a political commentator. I'm not an activist. I'm a political commentator. I'm an entertainer. But there are unique moments in my career where I do engage in some journalism, where I make some news, right? And my personal experience in that regard played a role here.
That's established law, and that has been established law. We know that this administration doesn't care about any of that stuff and doesn't care about what the law is in actuality. All of us collectively need to be smart about how we are articulating certain things online, not to be silent, to be perfectly clear before the do not comply in advance heroes in the comments go absolutely insane. And really, wow, you are such heroes down there. I'm saying let's maybe try not to get black bagged and thrown in federal prison, because actually you're not helpful to anybody if you're there. Okay. It's important to remember that posting is not activism, right? So you have to be smart about what you're doing, how you're doing it. And you have to protect yourself and your communities. You also need to put pressure on your elected officials to actually stand up about these things. Are most electeds not really doing much about it? Things are really bad, but I also think Trump's approval rating is incredibly low. And there are a lot of judges that are pushing back in terms of any of the enforcement things that this administration is trying to do. And we collectively need to pay attention and show up when the law is broken, when people are detained, etc. We need to keep each other and our communities safe, because we're the only ones who are going to do it. And you need to be smart and not put stupid things in writing, honestly. doesn't mean you can't express your political opinion. You should be expressing your political opinion. I just wrote a piece. I've written pieces about Luigi Mangione. I've written pieces about not feeling bad for police officers that got killed. You can still express yourself. You just need to be smart about the way you do that.